popping on here. Okay. I wonder who's going to be the first person to hop on here. What's up, Duck Rabbit? First one on here. Got the forge lit up, letting it warm up, getting into this thing. What's up, y'all? What's up, Danny? I'm doing good. Ready to forge out a knife. I think we're gonna have some fun. We'll be forging a kind of like a Serbian cleaver tonight, so it should be pretty fun. We're going to see how far I can move this piece of steel that we're going to be using. I took last week off. I still made knives and did all that stuff. I've got, y'all can see that there. There's 6 knives ready for handle profiling, and then another 5 knives ready for handle profiling over here. So I don't want to take y'all all the way over there because I tend to lose the signal a lot, but y'all can see all of those. And then I've got another like 20 up here that I've got in the queue waiting to start working with. Yeah, if y'all have never seen a Serbian cleaver, I think it's like Serbian cleaver. I'm going to be doing something kind of like that. My own flare, of course, why not? We're going to be doing it out of this piece of 5160. Now, I've already taken and annealed it, so that's already been done. And it's cool. It's a pretty cool little piece. It still has the actual stamp in it from manufacturer. And so what we're going to have to do is there's going to be a little bit of isolation. There's going to be a little bit of drawing it out, trying to get the height that we want. This piece of steel, let's go ahead and measure it. Let's see what we start out with and see what we're going to end up with. So overall length is 7 inches right now. And then the narrowest width is about 2.5 inches. My goal for this is if we can get, so it's 2.5 inches, if I can get about 3 inches of height to 3.5 inches. I don't know if I'll be able to pull that down far enough to get 3.5 inches out of it, but anything over 3 inches will be perfect. We are going to need to forge in the handle area. I'm going to be doing a full tang on this, and this piece of steel already has a taper in it, okay? So I'm going to be forging this down and then keeping the taper. But we're going to have to do a little bit of material management here, because whenever I start forging in here, whenever I start breaking this section up and out, it's going to start deforming this taper that's right here. So we're going to have to compress it and then forge that taper back in, because it's going to widen where we start bringing in the shoulder here for the, for if you want to call it the heel of it. That's going to be more of a heel than a finger choil. But we're going to be starting with the handle side. We're going to go ahead and pull the material out for the tang, and then we're going to start forging down and pulling it down. Now, of course, this is actually the spine. That's the cutting edge. So what we're going to start off with is we're going to put our indention here to separate the cutting edge from the handle. I'm only going to be moving, you see this section where I have the ruler right here? This section is going to be where we forge out the handle. The blade is going to be all of this, because all this material here is going to get added on back here and make it to where it's plenty of knife, or plenty of handle. And the only thing that I have drawn out right now on the top of the anvil that's over here, where I tend to do my little profiles, is just a handle profile. We're just going to get after it. We're going to forge something, and I'm going to let it speak to me, and that's how we're going to get the actual profile from this. So go ahead and toss this in the forge. Because of the size of the material, I'm going to have to be a little careful because it's going to get kind of wonky whenever I start forging the handle down. I'm going to be using one of my sets of tongs, and it's probably going to pop everywhere until I get that tang forged. Once I get the tang forged, I'll be able to hold it with my regular tongs and just get after it. But we're going to see how that goes. So let's see here. DL, what's up? What's up, Mule? And yes, I'm using my phone. The phone is the easiest way for me to do my lives. Just because I've done them, well, I've tried to do one on my laptop before, and the signal is just really, really weird and all over the place. Whenever I start the way that I'm going to be doing it in the future, I'll actually have a camera hooked up to this, and I'll be using the camera and a mic whenever I start doing that. But yeah, we're doing a Serbian cleaver. Let's see here. Turn the phone on its side, water view. Okay, so it won't actually turn on its side. I'm going to show y'all something, okay? So whenever I turn this on its side, it doesn't do anything for y'all. I'm just going to scroll down to the bottom. Did that change anything whenever I turned it to the side? Does that do anything for y'all, or am I now on the side of your screen? Yeah, so the downside to a lot of lives is it narrows the focus. So you end up with the black area here, the black area there, and it's just the way that it works with these lives. So you almost have to be on a streaming platform in order to be able to do the full frame, but I'll get to that point. What's up, Steve? Should make one of these, a few blanks. Yep, you absolutely should. So I got the idea for making this from Elijah over at Fire Creek Forge. First knife heat. Nice, nice. Your live looks very small tonight. Well, sorry about that. No, so I was watching, not really watching, I saw one of Fire Creek Forge's, Elijah over there, saw one of his pictures that he uploads here and there, and he did a Serbian cleaver, and I'm like, yeah, I want to make one of those. Now, of course, this is a precursor. I'm making this one so that I can see what I can do with the material, but I've got a piece of 1-inch 5160, kind of a big coil that I have. I'm going to be doing an integral bolster Serbian cleaver on an actual video. So I'm going to be doing that, I think, after the Arkansas toothpick. Alright, so we're going to pull this out. I'll try and get it inside these little tongs right here. And we're going to see what we can do real quick. The goal is to be able to move, put a little notch in the material here. Okay. So we got our notch. So this whole entire area here is going to be the tang for the handle. This whole entire section here is going to be the cutting edge. So we'll see how that goes. Now, of course, I might modify that a little bit. right there. So whenever I did that, I actually did it on the spine side. So all I'm going to do is put a notch on the other side as soon as we heat it back up. So it won't matter. Let me try starting your live with it on the side next time. So it doesn't really matter. Anytime you do live streams, it automatically puts you in this format. I don't know why that is the way it is, but it's like they want you to watch them on your phone, and they want it to transition to like how Instagram is and how TikTok is. They want you to watch these on your phone. If you watch it on TV, it's just gonna automatically block off the sides. You have to have if I go through like Twitch or one of those streaming services and use like a camera, I could actually live stream that way. But you got to do some crazy stuff. We're simple here. Simple. Cold shriveled up live tonight. It's actually like 60 degrees tonight here. It was 30 something degrees in the morning, and it'll be like, I think like 40 degrees overnight tonight. Oh, I'll be forging a buoy. I mean, we've got a few different buoys coming up. Big ones. How's the new grizzly grinder? I haven't really had a chance to, I've got it all set up to where I can use it, but I've just got the beginning of that video going. I've got some modifications that I want to do that Matt Rich has actually messed with. I'm going to be adjusting the platen and doing a few things. So I'm going to do kind of a review on it and a slight modification video all in one. So y'all will be able to see that. Okay, let's get this real quick. Alright. Come on the other side. Actually put the notch where I wanted it. That's where I wanted the notch. This is actually supposed to be the cutting edge, not that. It won't matter in the end because it's all going to get forged and moved around. Get this piece of steel out of here. There we go. So, toss those there. Let's see here. What did I do now? So I was telling them that we're going to be doing, I'm going to show them some of your modifications to this right here in my video. And I'm going to be doing a standard size platen and doing a couple of things like that. It should work out real well. I'm actually going to be doing the platen out of a piece of just mild steel right off the bat, and then I've got a piece of stainless steel ordered. It's the same type of platen that goes on my 2x72 that I'm going to put on there, and then we're just going to see how it goes. I think the going issue that everybody's having with this right now, with these little 2x42s, is the motor. It's not like a heavy duty motor, and I think they're having issues with it burning up. You go on some of the knife forums and the knife Facebook groups, you got a few people, John Norwood with the yeah I don't know why I just blanked on his Old Hickory Forge. He's already burnt one of them up. I think he burnt one up on like the first day. So it might be one of those things where they upgrade the motors at some point, but yeah, that thing is like, the number one issue that they're having is with the motors burning up. All right. ahead and get this thing forged out a little bit more. Careful with this because this back section is pretty thin and I don't want to cause an issue. One of the things that I'm running into right now with how cold it is, how cold the anvil is making this thing stay hot longer. Now, of course, as it builds up heat in there and it builds up heat in the anvil, it's going to be warmer for longer. Go. Let's see here. 85 in the shop. Yep, it feels great in here. Anvil, move. So it's got wheels, but it's just on the front. So you have to like rock it forward in order to get on the wheels. They're raised up off the ground. Until you rock it forward. Once you rock it forward, you can roll it around, but whenever you lay it down, the wheels don't actually touch the ground. Fair point. Let's see here. Hopefully it's an isolated insulant. Yep. 2x42. Yeah, the 2x42, I got mine from Phoenix Abrasive. They had a whole bunch of them. I just got like your standard variety pack that I kind of built myself, what belts I was going to use and try out, all the way up to 800 grit. So the whole point behind this 2x42, what I'm going to be using it for in my shop, is the fact that it's got a variable speed on it. I want to be able to turn it down a little bit and use higher grit belts. Now, of course, I think the issue that a lot of people are having with this is the fact that this is a single phase motor, and these technically are not built to use a VFD. And I think that the VFDs are actually what's burning up the motors. So VFD motor, not so good for that guy right there. At least that's what I think. Fair point. $8,000, 2S72, not saying. Yep. Whether for some sand mine for the Viking challenge? Hell yeah. What I'm talking about. Alright. Going to be a little pain in the butt for a while here. So again, because it's so thin right there, as I forge this down, it's just wanting to buckle the entire time. I'm worried that I got a little bit of cold shot right there, so I'm going to grind this little section off. So this little guy right here, I think folded over just a little bit. So I'm just going to grind that off and make sure it's good. Now we're good. So whenever I first started forging this, when when I first started forging it, I wasn't expecting it to buckle as fast as it buckled, and I folded that little lip over just enough so whenever I forged it flat, it gave me a little, you know, it would be a cold shut later, and I didn't want that. Even though it's going to be on the tang and it's going to be behind the handle, you still don't want crappy crap on your stuff. Let's see here. What else making anything today? Yeah, what are y'all doing? Started with the 2x42, rocking the Broadbeck now. Absolutely awesome. I, of course, still have my KMG. I use that for almost everything. Got some old wagon wheel from a friend. Okay, so you're going to do wrought iron sand mine? Hell yeah. I'm actually looking forward to seeing that. I've got some wrought iron, but I'm going to be using it for some for the guard and butt cap on my Viking challenge on my sag sword that I'm making. I'm going to use the wrought iron, then I'm going to do a deep etch on it so it shows all the fibers in that wrought iron. It's going to be pretty cool. Working on a new mosaic pattern. If y'all, man, Steve, make sure, like, if you have that on your Instagram, put your Instagram in this chat, Steve, because I want them to go see how the basket weave feather turned out with the clear handles. So if you have that on your Instagram, post your Instagram so they can actually go look at that. It turned out so damn awesome. It looks great. Like with the clear handle scales, man, that was the absolute direction to go on that. It turned out so nice. I think it's wrought iron. They said it was close to 100 years old. If it was 100 years old, there is a massive chance that it is wrought iron. So this right here, this is a 100-year-old wagon wheel metal rim. You can see all of the fibers. It almost like it just tears whenever they pull that apart. So whenever you etch this, you get all of those fibers. If you do a deep etch, it kind of shows off all of that. So yeah, that's a piece of wrought iron right there. I'll be doing some of those pieces out of. All right, for the time. All right, slowly but surely. It doesn't seem like we've moved it that much, but this section was wider than this section. So it came down about half an inch to maybe about 3/4 of an inch already. It should come down a lot more than that. That's a technical term. It's a measurement, a lot more. You know, you have a little bit, you got enough, you got a lot, you got a lot more. We're going for a lot more. Somewhere in between here. A lot more. What's up, Craig? Finished a small shop knife. I forged out of a file a while back. Rough forge, 8-ish inch. Slavic razor. Awesome. Got about halfway through. Forging a Louis Chef style knife. Nice. So, are you engraving with like a hammer and engraving tool set, or are you using a pneumatic, or are you using something like a Fordham or something like that? I've done some stuff with my little Fordham here, but I haven't done anything with like hammer and chisel or anything like that yet. But I will be for the Viking challenge, because I'm going to be hand forging the runes. that I'm going to put on the blade. That'll all be done by hand. Alright. Yoink. Start to step down there now. It's going to be so much easier to do this whenever I get this tang forged down to a manageable size, and then I can use the other tongs and start forging out the blade. So basically what we got to do, we got to get the tang area isolated and kind of get the rough height that we want it to be. And then we got to end up drawing and tape. We got to basically forge in the bevels. But instead of just forging in the bevels like normal, we're going to come in with our cross peen and we're going to draw that edge down as we thin it, and we're going to get as much height as possible out of this piece of steel. And we're going to see how we can do that. And you know, some of this is going to come into play whenever I actually start forging the one with the integral bolster. You know, I'm going to have to do a whole bunch of drawing down, especially seeing how I don't have a press with like drawing dies on it. So, you know, you gotta be able to bend your steel on this and then transfer that to something that's completely different later. It's tough work. Yeah, it's very tough work doing the engraving with hammer and chisel. I'm working on a really basic square Celtic knot. I bet it is kicking your ass. Long part of my knife is going to be the handle. So I'm going to add gold leaf inlay on. Ah, that sounds cool. Gold leaf inlay. I like the idea of that. That sounds cool. There. Look at all these numbers. Just squishing together right there. So we're not super worried about deforming a whole bunch of stuff right now, primarily because we're going to end up messing with all of this after we get done pulling that blade down a little bit. Then we're going to come in and we're going to really refine the profile of the handle. So right now I'm just trying to get the material shifted out. And what we're doing right now is we're squishing it. We're only going to squish it down about another, I'm going to say about another almost half an inch, and then we're going to come in and we're going to take our cross peen, or we're going to do the straight peen, and we're going to actually just come in the area where the index finger sits, kind of like the finger tool area, and we're going to forge that down. And then what that's going to do is it's going to really bring it down, and then we're going to move that material outwards, so towards the end of the tang. So I'm just pushing it down a little bit, and then we're going to come in and we're going to forge down to about the height that we want our tang behind the blade, around the ricasso area. And then we're going to have like basically a notch this big, and then the tang's going to be about right here. And we're going to forge this whole entire area out and pull everything out. Got a little close there. Oh, it went down. These tongs are not built for grabbing stuff. I literally only have those tongs for being able to work with this particular stock. So we got it down where I wanted it to be, which is right there. So now on this next one, we're going to come in here, and we're going to go ahead and pinch that with our straight peen, and that's going to put kind of like a finger choil. It's not going to have a finger choil, but it's going to pinch that down, and then we're going to stretch this whole entire area out into a tang. It's going to have a distal taper and all that jazz. In the words of my good friend John Norwood, nothing to it really. So switch hammers, go to the old Two Bastards forge hammer. Then we're going to use straight peen, come down, and isolate that tang a little bit more. Might have to switch the propane bottles here in a second. This bottle didn't have a whole bunch of propane in it, but I wanted to go ahead and kind of use it up while everything was warming up. Got a fresh bottle over here. Okay, what are y'all talking about? Also, got integral kukri sketched out. That'd be cool. Only the belly of the blade has an edge. Like a Ricasa type thing. That's pretty cool. That was one I was... Physics. Love that. Hand sanding and listening. I used to do that all the time too. Finished high school in 2020. That's cool, mule. Mosaic pattern should come out with squares surrounded by layered Damascus. I'm looking forward to seeing that. Seeing a technique where a line is cut vertically perpendicular to the edge of the cleaver. The cut line is forged open. Meet the handle. Yeah. So yes, there's actually a lot of people that do that. I say a lot of people. There's a few people that do that. That's one of the easier ways. This is basically, I'm not going to say this is the same thing as that because it's not, but it's pretty similar to that. Instead of cutting the line in, we just use the edge of the anvil to create our notch for us. Come in. You can see the beginnings of that. So we're going to go ahead and forge that in, get that narrow, and then pull that handle out. Now, remember, this is going to be a tapered tang. So right now the tang's all sloppy and everything like that. Whenever I start coming in and forging that distal back out, we'll get so much length out of it, it's going to be ridiculous. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and switch these bottles. Real quick, don't worry, I'm still here, I didn't disappear. Some of y'all may think I vanished. Did not vanish. Still here. When I come back, there's going to be like 2 people watching. There we go. Hey, we actually gained the person. Okay, so again, what we're going to be doing is bringing that down just a little bit more in that finger choil area. It's not going to have a finger choil. I'll show you basically. So this is roughly how the handle profile is going to be. Right here, something simple, kind of like a flat belly, where your fingers come across, a little bit of curve to the spine, because we're going to have a slight curve going into the blade area, but we're not looking for a super huge handle. These chef's knives don't have massive handles, and what we're trying to do is we're trying to get that blade to come down as much as possible and forge it out. I think it's going to be fun. Give me 1 second, I'll read all your stuff. Let's go a little more on this. Starting to get right there. Of course, we still got to pull it in quite a bit more. I say quite a bit more. We really only need to pull it in about another 1/2 inch. Once we get that 1/2 inch, we'll then draw it back out, and we'll probably end up with about a 4-inch long handle. Plenty. Let's see here. I still haven't finished high school either. Look, I still have my binder and a half of nice sketches. Hell yeah. Eric, curious why you got the Grizzly finish work, backup grinder. So, for one, I'm doing a review on it, which is one of the main reasons why I have it. But the primary reason behind having this is just for like doing some of the finer stuff where I need to be able to slow the belt down quite a bit. So my KMG is built on the pulley system. It's got, show y'all, it has, that's the roof. It has a 3-step pulley here. Okay, so on this setting, it's ridiculously insane fast. On that one, it's ridiculous fast. On that one, it's fast. So I've got fast, really fast, melt your face off. I tend to keep it on melt your face off mode, and I just make it work. And of course, I have my, this is all sharpening belts and leather strops and all that stuff for the 1x30. But that's what I have for this. I don't have a VFD on it. So the whole point behind that is to be able to do some of those fine-tuning things with the VFD. Something different. Made a sheath first. Now I'm making a knife to fit it. Oh, I love that. I hope that that's a thing that you're actually doing. I was looking at getting a Grizzly, but power in my shop is a problem. So this little guy right here runs off 110. You're not going to have any issues whatsoever. That's a tiny motor. And yeah, the Grizzly does go horizontal. So if y'all aren't following Matt Rich, that's M Rich 1978 right there, y'all need to follow him on Instagram. Matt, put your Instagram in here so they can actually see the stuff that you've done to modify that thing. Sure. Come on now. I hate these tongs. Impulse, warp 5. Yeah. Yeah, I keep it on melt your face off mode. You can go wash the dishes. Would be lurking until. Hey, that's one of the things that I do as a stay-at-home dad slash knife maker slash getting my insurance license person slash YouTuber. So it's a long title. I got it on a name tag somewhere. The name tag's like this long. To give you an idea of how much we've moved already, there's a whole set of numbers right here that I showed at the beginning of the video. They're in this little row now. And of course, as I start forging all this flat, all that stuff will clean up a little bit. All we're doing right now is just moving material. So on this next heat, what we're going to do is we're going to come in and we're going to forge on the where that bells out or kind of mushrooms out. We're going to forge on that a little bit and bring it out. So basically the whole point behind it is going back into having the heel of the blade pushed up against the edge of the anvil, and we're just going to use the half on, half off blows, kind of pull that area back a little bit, and we're going to get a lot of length out of it. Not taking long to warm up now. Careful with that. Again, because of how thin this is, it's wanting to taco a lot. Let's see here. There you should see this one come out. Me too. It's a unique name tag. On the dishwasher in our house, many years ago, my wife asked for a built-in dishwasher. I said we already have one. She didn't think. She's like, "Yeah, we got a built-in dishwasher." You're the built-in dishwasher. That was a. She pulled the Uno reverse card on you. Starting to look like a little old thing. Okay. So now on the next heat, we're going to come into the point of the anvil and draw out that tang a little bit. And then we'll finish profiling it just here. What I'll most likely do is I'll draw it out a little bit, do a rough profile on it, and then we'll go ahead and just start forging in the blade. I don't want to get it too long because I don't want it to be too thin. Because then we'll start moving everything everywhere in that process. Let's bring y'all down just a hair. There we go. Okay, so this handle profile, like I said, is going to be pretty similar to this one. So this area, we have a lot of material here to be able to taper down and create this. My thing that I'm going to do next is see how big we are compared to this set of tongs. I'm going to bring it down just a little bit more to be able to match up to those tongs. So I'm going to taper this down just a little bit more. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to flatten the area going from the tang up into the choil. I'm going to flatten the area going from the, technically, all kinds of words messed up there, the ricasso into the tang. We're going to flatten that transition and clean that up and then go into the blade area. So one of the things I didn't tell y'all is the reason why I put the handle starting where it was because out of the thickness of the blade, kind of like the spine thickness area, that was the area that I wanted the rest of the blade to be. Because we're going to end up, this is about a 1/4 inch thick steel. I want to bring it down to about 3/16, and the area where I started was right at about 3/16. So it'll be nice to be able to kind of just start from a certain area and have a little area to match it up to the thickness it is. So okay, perfect size for that. Like I said, now we'll go through and flatten that out, make it smooth. And now I've still got plenty of material left there to be able to finish the handle profile, get the length that we want. And then we're going to get a little bit more handle profile, or a little bit more handle length whenever I go through and I start forging this area flat. By default, we're going to be smashing the high spots down. It's got to go somewhere. It's mostly going to be going forward and backwards, and we're going to get length off that just by default. On this, now I can actually switch to tongs to be a little bit easier to manage. So all we're doing is just getting it flat now. you'll see areas like this right here, that little crease, and that little crease right there. Whenever I finish tapering the tang and flattening, that'll disappear. Same thing with this side over here. Now the difference is this side over here, that was a bunch of letters and numbers, the serial number on the leaf spring. So still got plenty of thickness, got plenty of length here to be able to go ahead and modify later. But now what we're going to go ahead and do, start working on the blade. Nice thing about the blade section is I don't have to be as gentle on this section, so I get to absolutely just get after it, which will be nice. Let's see here. Deal in my house, I'll do the dishes if I can use the oven for tempering. Facts. I love how since I stopped talking like 8 people left. And no one said a thing. Yep. Where do you get your tongs? So, Blacksmith Depot is good. Yep. So what exactly is the difference between a Serbian cleaver and a regular one? It's just a profile thing, the way that it looks. It's a little bit different. If you think about almost all the cleavers that they have right now for like $49.95 on Etsy, a lot of them are Serbian style. So think about like the Forged and Fire chef knife set that you can get at Walmart, but in a cleaver version and something that just kind of looks cool. That's a Serbian cleaver. I'm still watching, but not for long. It seems a law for someone. But hey, just say that past 8. I love that. I'm almost at that point. Okay, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to come in and I'm waiting for the blade just to get nice and tight and hot. Because what we're going to do is we're going to come in and we're going to forge. It's not really a tip or anything like that. We're going to kind of forge roughly the profile where the spine comes around and drops in through the tip of it, and get that roughly where we want it, and then we're going to start pulling down and get that width out of it using the cross beam. So I wanted to get it nice soaking in so that we have plenty of forge time on this. There's not a huge thing that we have to do profile-wise to make this happen, because these cleavers are a pretty simple profile. We're going to come in on just the front, kind of forge it back in a little bit. To refer to that area as the forehead of the knife. Yes, pain in the ass to forge in. So basically what I'm going to do is just kind of play with this, mess with it a little bit, and really just pull that section in and I'm going to try a few things, and we're going to see how that turns out. One of two things is about to happen. This is either going to work, or it's not going to work, and this blade's going to fling across the room. They got two options. It's either going to work, or it's just going to go everywhere. We'll see what happens. Sort of working. Just figured I'd try it out. Hold that back just a little bit. This little area here, it was kind of forcing itself forward. Huh. But you can see what I was talking about. That was a little sketchy. So yeah, you know how it goes. Sometimes you just gotta do things. And basically, what I'm trying to do, if y'all seen, I love the fact that I have a nice dry erase board. Let's move y'all over there. So, Serbian cleaver. Like this. Something similar to that right there, which is, you know, kind of pretty standard cleaver, but a lot of these kind of do this right here. One of the reasons why I like it. So they kind of pull back in, pull in, have a little bit of flat, a little bit of rock towards the tip, a little bit of rock towards the heel. Pretty simple handle, nothing too crazy on there. And then a lot of the times they'll be ground up, especially if they have a forged-in texture, right there, and you'll still have all the root to forge area up here, like that, and then this will be ground in right here. That's typically what you're going to see on a Serbian cleaver. What's up, David? I've actually seen some of your lives lately, or not your lives, but your shorts lately, and I like the bunka that you did. I like a few of those, man. We're doing some sketchy stuff right now, David. Okay, sketchy stuff. If y'all don't watch David's channel, y'all should definitely watch that. So I'm not going to do anything more crazy than that. What's going to end up happening is whenever I start thinning out the blade, it's going to naturally shift all of this stuff kind of out in different areas. But what we're able to do is square off the shoulder between the tang and the heel. Now at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just clean up the spine profile a little bit, and then we'll go ahead and start drawing down that blade. Can we get a little bit closer? Okay, for one, that. The good old, I bet now it's like an inch and a half as opposed to a millimeter. That is kind of like what we're going to be doing. I have used gator piss a few times. So if you look at my two little acid things that I got right here, that one has gator piss in it. The big one that I have this big leaf spring on, that has a ferric chloric and a 50-50 with distilled water. So those are the two acids that I use. I've got more in glass jar, pickle jar back here too, gator piss. So, but yeah, it works out real well. The nice thing about it is it gives you the etch that you want without trying to get the right measurements of ferric to distilled water. I do like it, but I've used my ferric mixture for a really long time, and I like the hell out of it. And it's just a 50-50 ferric, and the ferric chloride I got from radioshack.com. It works out real well. I use vinegar too. You can ask David, he uses vinegar as well. I've got some used vinegar in here. This is 30% vinegar. Got that idea from David. And I've used it on a bunch of them, especially a lot of my Brute de Forge knives. Alright, so we're going to get this profile cleaned up. Y'all looking at me or y'all looking over there? Profile's roughly where I want it. So now on the next one we'll go ahead. We're going to switch to our cross beam. Scale on here. So this cross beam, of course, old John Norwood, Old Hickory Forge. And we're going to beat the absolute piss out of this thing. And yeah, so for any Damascus that I work with, every single one of them gets a coffee etch after it's all said and done. So like with ladder right there, that is gator piss and coffee. Of course, the lighting is garbage trying to look at it, but it stands out real well. How big is the anvil you're working on? That is a Trenton Ajax 170 pound. So the rough dimensions on this are, when it's all said and done, it should have about a 6 to 6.5 inch cutting edge, and it should be just over 3 inches tall when it's all said and done. because we're going to stretch out a lot of this material. It's still 1/4 of an inch thick along most of this edge. So as we're doing this, we're going to be pulling it down. And I'm going to be pulling it out. I want to pull it down and stretch this edge. That's the goal there. And basically, we'll get it from that thickness right there to by the time it's all said and done, it'll be pretty thin on the edge. On this next heat, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just focus on the heel and bring that heel down, really taper it so that I get a rough idea of really how much material we'll be able to pull down, and then we'll feather that back in with down to the tip. It is. Now, of course, I did start with 2 inches, almost 2.5 inches. So, and almost 1/4 of an inch thick. You can almost never find material that is 2.5 or larger than 2 inches. Almost all of it's like 2-inch bar stock and stuff like that. But I'm doing this as a precursor to an integral Serbian that I'm going to be working on. So that one's going to be fun, going from a 1-inch round bar by hand and forging that out to something similar to a Serbian. It's going to be, my body's going to absolutely hate me when it's all said and done. So this is, again, 1/4 of an inch, but it has a distal taper. So this is going to be about just over 3/16 of an inch on the spine when it's all said and done. And about 3/16 of an inch. And then, of course, the tang is tapered. And we still got to do a little bit of work on the tang because I got to get some length out of it. So you got a 64 kilogram, approximately, 141 pounds. Brooks, great anvil. It's good. It's all 1.5 inch flat stock. Yeah, I saw that, and then I've seen you, like, I wish I had a press, because you being able to take 3 pieces of steel and forge them together to get extra thickness to be able to draw out the material, super smart doing that. Got a whole bunch of mono steel sand mines. So now we're going to come in on this heel. We're able to bring it down quite a bit. Don't worry about making it look super smooth or anything like that. When we go through and we planish, it's going to correct a lot of that stuff. So right now, let's see how wide we are. So that pulled us back out to about 2 3/4. Show y'all something. We still have a lot of thickness in the spine. The spine's going to end up being about this thick right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with this cross peen, and I'm going to come all the way up to the spine with it. I'm going to pull all of that down and get as much width out of it as possible. Now, the one thing you want to be careful with doing this is if you're going to come in and try and make this look like a machined knife, meaning you're going to surface grind it and all that, you need to be very careful with your hammer blows because you got to be able to planish a lot of that out. This is going to have a lot of forge texture to it. It's going to be a brute to forge. Am I going to planish it? Yes. But I want, where you see all of this jaggedness right here going across this, I want that jaggedness. So I'm going to leave it pretty rough forged throughout this. It's still going to be planished, so it's not going to be too crazy. But I want this jagged line transitioning between my hand sanded bevels to that forged texture. That's my end goal here. So I'm not worried too much about the whole forged texture. So I'm just getting after it. I'm going to pull everything where I want it to be. Now to give you an idea of what's happening here, let me just grab a piece of wood here. So what I'm doing is, imagine this is your spine, this is your cutting edge. What I'm doing is I'm coming in and I'm pulling it this way, but I'm also moving it out this way. So as I'm hammering this way, it's moving the material that way. Hammering this way, it's moving the material front and back. The whole point behind that is, in the end result, I want this taper. I want it to taper to the front, and I want it to taper towards the heel. So I'm moving this material down and out. Okay? So that's the goal there. Be able to come in. Okay? Be able to come in here and move the material down this way and out that way. So we're trying to widen it and pull it down. And we're going to get to whatever thickness we need to get in order to make that thing happen. All right. Jump back in here. All right. Over 2 3/4. Doing good there. Now, of course, one of the things to remember with how I'm profiling this is I still have to squish the kind of like where your finger choil is going to be or where your finger is going to go. I've still got to squish that down about just under about half an inch, and whenever I do that, it's going to give me a little bit more heel by default. And we still have to flatten it. So far, all we've done was use the cross peen. We still haven't flattened. So once I start flattening, it's going to pull out even more. Game changer dude, the Collard Works press. I bet that press is awesome. Have you seen the little press that Yellow Goose Forge got? It's basically a benchtop forge press. Yeah, stuff like that's cool too. You don't really need a whole bunch of like a 15 ton or 20 ton benchtop is absolutely awesome. one of the guys on the podcast with me, he's got a little coal iron press, and he likes the heck out of it. All right. Right at about 3 inches now on that heel. Forge down pretty thin. Of course, we're going to end up going a little bit thinner than that on the edge. But now we can go ahead and do is start moving all this material around. And again, what's going to end up happening is whenever I forge the handle in the rest of the way, you're going to see the profile change a little bit. Because what's going to end up happening is that tang is going to get kicked down and forged in just a little bit, but kicked down. And what it's going to do is it's going to create this little inner angle right here. Because right now, the way that this looks, the handle is about this wide, and it kind of goes up at an angle like this. Okay? So what's going to end up happening is I'm going to pinch this area in here. I'll pinch that in, and I'm going to kick this area down. And it's actually, it kind of tapers out a little bit more. It's a little bit wider. But once I kick this down, it's going to create this inner angle that you see right here. So I don't need to try to pull this area back at all. It's going to automatically do this whenever I drop the handle down. So all I got to focus on is getting this material down and out this way to create this front piece. A lot of people will try and come in here and they'll try and create this little back piece right here. It's not necessary. All that will come whenever I actually go through and I finish the profiling of this. A lot of stuff happens whenever you go through and you actually get used to the order of operations with your forging. How you doing over there? Awesome. Neighbor's son's out in the backyard jumping on a trampoline. So once you get used to it, you can do anything you want. I bet. Power hammers are awesome. Okay. Now let's pull all of this material out. So even with all that, you can still see how thick our edge is. Still got plenty of movement. So with this, let's say I get it 90% to profile, I'll be happy with that. Close a pack of matches. Not control. Can you barely close a pack of matches? I mean, I've seen people with their power hammers like with like a 200-pound actual hammer on it, like sit there and close like a box of matches with their power hammer. So you can get pretty crazy with it once you get used to it. But yeah, there's plenty of videos of shorts of people who go on there and they'll be screwing with their power hammers and they'll just pat them in and close like a book of matches, box of matches. If they could close a book of matches with a power hammer, that's skill. Box matches though. Getting there. Still got a little bit of moving to go. If I had a press, I'd be done with this a long time ago. What kind of handle you thinking? So on this, it'll be something similar to this right here. It's not going to be super crazy profile wise. It's just going to fit comfortably, but still being able to chop with it relatively easily. I've already got that handle drawn out on the anvil over here so that I can have a good little reference. Alright, so on this next piece right here, we're going to go in with the old 5-pound rounding side of the hammer. And we're going to beat the hell out of this thing. Right now, you want to get used to hammering like a champ. Start swinging a 5-pound rounding hammer like it's a 2.5-pound rounding hammer. Do it for long enough, you'll get used to it. When I first started using it, it was ridiculous. But now it's another hammer. I will be getting a 3.25-pound one, and seen a few people. I've seen Neil Kawamura has an 8-pound dog head hammer. That thing's a beast. Profile up just a little bit on this next one, and then beat the piss out of it again. good. Still plenty of thickness on the edge and the spine. This next one, I'm going to do the sketchy thing again. And I want to bring in the kind of this piece right here. I want to pull it back just a little bit this way, and then start drawing that tip down. So we're gonna do the sketchy thing. Speaking of a dog head, do you like them or tried them? I haven't got to mess with it yet, but I'm getting one made by Two Bastards Forge, the people that made this hammer right here. Old Frank. He's going to be making me a dog head hammer, and I'm excited about using that. He's going to come here to the house and deliver it. We're going to hang out for a little bit. He's actually getting one of the knives that are. He's actually getting this one that's right there of the EDCs. Sketchy time. That pulled back just a little bit more. I want to come back just a hair more. Let's see what we got here. Eric, how's the big batch of knives going? It's going good. I've got 11 of them set up for handle profiling, so all of these are all glued up. Wish I could bring y'all over there, but it gets a little sketchy back here. But you can see that I got 11 of them. These are the small EDCs. These are all camp knives. And then I've got some more that I've got to grind bevels on. These batch right here. And I've already got bevels ground in most of these. Those are some small, simple knives that are going to be more EDC or like lightweight knives. They're pretty good. So this next heat, again, we're going to do sketchy stuff. Pull it in a little more. The reason why I'm saying sketchy is because, let's be real, this is a pretty easy way for this to fling out. Doing it this way. Back in order. All right, got that. So now I'm going to pull it down a little bit more, and if I need to, I can always bring it back. Of course, I can always go through and grind the profile to what I want if I wanted to. But we still got plenty of drawing out to do before we have to worry about that. So, hour and a half. Not bad for kind of winging a profile. And yeah, sales are going good. I sold a few more knives. So those 2 integral bolster knives that I did, the integral bolstered like little clip point buoy that I did was like one of my first integrals. Sold that one, and I sold the one that was the bigger, kind of like a chopper / camp knife with the really nice profiled handle. A guy bought both of those, so that was a pretty good paycheck. Gotta love that. You really should. And the cool thing about this is whenever you see this finished, so whenever you actually see, I know y'all probably already looked up Serbian chef knives and all that stuff, or Serbian cleavers, but whenever you see the actual knife when it's all said and done, and you see that transition from the bevels up into the texture of the forging and all that stuff, it makes for a beautiful, just awesome knife. All right, let's stretch it out just a little bit more. A lot of this is just moving the material where you want it to be with the right hammer. Could you do this with the rounding hammer? Sure, but having cross pins and straight pins really help you isolate the material to go where you want it to go. And I'll tell you, the biggest thing that you can do is take a piece of steel, use the hammer that you want to play with on that piece of steel, and figure out what happens to it whenever you start hammering in different directions to be able to draw everything where you want it to be. Once you do that a whole lot, you'll get used to what hammers do what. And you don't have to have a whole bunch of hammers. I have about 10 hammers. I use like 4 of them constantly. And I use the other ones too here and there, but most of them are 4 hammers. Could I have 30 hammers and 30 sets of tongs? Sure, but I don't really need all that stuff right now. There's other things to prioritize. We're over 3 inches at this point. Still got some that I can move out of this. So I'll probably get about another 1/2 inch width after I start planishing it and I start flattening it out. But I still want to shift it out just a little bit, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the rounding hammer and I'm going to go from about 2/3 of the way up from the cutting edge up towards the spine, and I'm going to take the rounding hammer, I'm going to go across that whole entire section there, and that should widen it out just how you do bevels. You know, you forge in the clip like this, you start forging this section and it automatically moves this area up. That's what I want to do. I want to push that that tip out just a little bit. So that's what we're going to work on here. Winded it a little bit. Still got plenty of thickness. We want to go down to this thickness. You see we still have plenty of thickness down there. So on this next heat, we're going to use the flat side of our hammer. Flat side, and go ahead and this will be the last bit of forging. The rest of it's going to be planishing. And then what I'll probably do is clean this up. So I'll go ahead and forge this flat, get the edge thickness down to where I want it, and then we'll go ahead, finish the handle profile, and then we'll go ahead and planish it after that and get everything nice and lined up and even. Yep, that's the old Grizzly 2x42. I'm going to be doing a review on it and talking about some of the modifications, like removing a couple of things, adding a better platen, like an actual platen. The platen that's on this is not very useful. It's got like a graphite pad on it or whatever that wears through really easily. So I'm going to put an actual platen. I'm going to show you all that modification. And then we're going to use it and see what it does. All right, come in here, get on this edge. Clean up that profile just a little bit more, but as you can see, we got that angle back this way and angle forward that we were going for. I heat it up. Just clean up the profile a little bit. Is it necessary to do this? No, because you can easily just grind this if you want to. What's up, Duck Rabbit? Welcome back. I'm ordering one myself. Looks unbeatable for under 300. Now, I'll tell you this, the big issue that people are having right now is the motor is burning up on them. You can actually look it up on a few blade forums on Facebook. So supposedly, this is a single phase motor which does not like the use of a VFD. These motors don't typically work with a variable speed controller here. Typically these are one speed. Well, like a two phase if you're going to do something that has a variable speed. So that's something to think about. But more or less, these right here, absolutely amazing price. I'm pretty sure they'll eventually come out with a better motor for this, but for right now, I think it's gonna be fun. All right, clean this up just a smidge. Go, just kind of clean that profile up a little bit so our cutting edge is pretty decent. Of course, it's not perfectly straight yet, but you can see how that comes down from that spine and down to that cutting edge. Of course, we haven't planished and made it perfect yet, but we will. What I want to do now before we actually screw with any of that is I want to go in and clean up the handle profile and actually get the handle where we want it to be. And then once that's done, we'll go ahead and get it nice and planished. Get the edge exactly how we want it, centered, everything cleaned up there. The last thing you want to do is completely finish profiling one step of the thing before you have to finish profiling the other side. So if you kind of do them together, it works out real well. I tend to forge certain sections down so that it works better with my tongs. And then I'll get one section about 80%, 85% to where it needs to be. And then we'll finish the other section to like 90%, and then we'll go ahead and smooth that into the other section and go from that 80, 85 up to 90%. The other 10% is done on a 2x72. Could I forge to finish this? Yes, I've got forge to finish knives on the channel, but this is not going to be a forge to finish knife. It's going to have a brute to forge finish on it, but you know, there's going to be a whole sanded area. This whole area that has these arrows is going to be all the hand sanded area, so you get that cool transition. Thanks for the tip. Hadn't heard about the motor yet. Yeah, definitely go look that out and check it out. Well, thank you. This is my favorite part of this whole process. I absolutely love the forging process of knives. So let's go ahead and come in here. Bring that in. A little bit more than that. As I pull that in, it's going to make this heel look like it comes down a little bit more. I'm only going to bring that in just a little bit more, and the whole point behind that is whenever I flatten it, it's going to make it wide again. So we're going to bring it back in about another 1/4 of an inch, and then we'll go ahead and finish profiling the tang. And what that's going to do is it's going to bring that end of that tang out a little bit. Will this cleaver have a hamon? It's 5160. Can you get a Hamon out of 5160? Yes, but it's not typically a Hamon-liking steel. But it won't have a Hamon. The whole point behind this is for the bevels to be a nice satin finish, and for the top area where the flats are to have that nice forged texture, and that create that transition. Just like, I really wouldn't say this, but kind of like this. This transition, okay, between the forging texture and the bevels. That little guy. There's my tree trimming wakizashi. You see I've put that thing through hell. I got a good finish on it. That's the same finish I've had on it since, you can see right here. It's the same finish I've had on it since like 2 years ago whenever I made it. So one thing y'all don't know is that's out of that Willys Jeep leaf spring material. My favorite material that I have. The 4 medium-sized EDCs are made out of that same steel. And you want to talk about some steel that I've put through freaking hell? That's it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pinch this area here. I'm going to pinch that, thin it out, and then we're going to end up having this little area for the area that's going to grab your pinky. And we're looking for, we only got to pull it out another ½ an inch. So we got plenty of material for that. We're going to come back about another ½ an inch. See here. I have a 3.5 coming from Michael Hoops. Awesome. Bit of months, 5160. Yeah, same. I love the heavy forge finish. So I've got Hamons out of it. It's just not the look that I'm going for on this particular one. I want the bevels to be, you know, nice and smooth, and I'm going to end up grinding them and sanding them down to pretty much a zero edge. Head, bring this back. A little bit more, and we should be good. So these things don't have big chunky handles on them. I want it to be just enough to, you know, fit in your hand but not be too big. You know, average average. That's where we do one of those jokes where people are talking about, you know, how tall the grass is. It's like, you know, my grass is like 3 inches long. That's long, right? 3 inches, average. 3 inches is good. You don't know what I'm talking about. Let's see here. Gotta get up early, bud. Nice. Well, Steve, I'll talk to you tomorrow. You know I will. All right. Now we're gonna come in this side. Modify this a little bit more. I'm surprised that we still have this many people on after almost 2 hours. But, you know, one of the nice things about doing this, like in a video, is I get to edit out a whole bunch of random stuff and time-lapse things. When we're doing this, there's no time-lapsing and all that. Like I watched Neil Carmora video today. It was like 1 hour and 10 minutes long. And being able to skip all the in-between makes it a little bit easier on people, but I know a lot of people don't care. They're just here to hang out and listen. I'll change the profile of the handle just a little bit. Okay, that got me the length that I needed. So now I'm just going to clean this up, put a little bit of a profile to it, and call it good. Centaur Forge. I'll check that out. I haven't actually checked them out at all. What are you still doing up, Mr. Elijah? What time is it right now? Oh, it's only 8:54. For some reason, I thought it was like 10 o'clock. Have you talked about your choice for handle scales, pin choice yet? When it comes to pins, I like brass and I like micarta pins. I'll do G10 pins, but yeah, just did your dishes. You the dishwasher too? I like micarta pins a lot. They sand real easily. They don't take a whole bunch of heat whenever you go through and you grind the pins down or anything like that, or while you're profiling. Brass tends to heat up a lot, but micarta pins, don't have to worry about that really at all, and they sand real nice. When it comes to handle material, I like a lot of stabilized wood, all different types. Let's see here. trying to think about exactly how I want the handle profile to finish. These don't tend to have a whole bunch of drop to them. I don't want the handle to be too crazy. That's not the whole point behind this knife. When I do my integral bolster one, I'll go crazy with it, but it's not real necessary to do that on one of these like this. Got our distal going good on there. Go ahead and clean up the bevels and flats. So if you haven't seen Elijah, if it's still here, that's what we forged out so far. So it's looking pretty good. Of course, it's not near finished. Big ass tongs. We got to go through, clean up the blade profile a little bit. But we were able to draw out this puppy to be a pretty big little guy here. So, not bad. I'm going to go ahead and finish cleaning up the thickness of it. But it's turned out pretty decent. Moving a lot of material. We were able to get almost an entire inch out of drawing it out. So I started out with just under 2 1/4 inch width and or height, I guess you could say, 2 1/4. I'm at about 3 1/4 right now on the height of it, and I think it's gonna be fine. Now, of course, I've got to finish flattening out the bevels a little bit, flattening out the edge, get it nice and uniform, and then planish it, and I'll be pretty much done. This is a perfect day to do stuff like this. It feels so good outside. I think it's probably, at this point right now, only about 70, 75 degrees in my shop. It's the way to do it. Brass and mild steel for you. Yep. Luxury of very many pin choices yet. Brass, copper, stainless. I've got copper, stainless, and mosaic pins. I can show you this. So when it comes to pretty much everything that I use on a daily basis, most of that stuff stays in this box right here. This is like the daily basis stuff. You got G10, white, Tiffany blue. You got micarta, both brown, black. You got brass, copper. You know, I use a lot of that. I've got a bunch of lanyard and hole tubes and stuff like that. All the ones that I'm working on over here. So of course, when it comes to all of these guys back here, those are all my micarta pins, and these are 3/16 brass on the front, and the back is a 1/4 inch lanyard hole, brass as well. And then a lot of these are going to be micarta over here. Whew. All right. Smooth this thing out. lot straighter now. Still got a little bit to work with, but it's a pretty good little profile. Whew. I think that's going to be a good looking little knife. My propane bottle's starting to get cold. Look at this. This is the joys of it being super cold out here. Just a whole bunch of frost build up on that. Using them tiny propane bottles. $40 there. So it's I think right now it's only like 45 degrees, 50 degrees outside. It's not that bad. Okay. We're going to make this easy on me. Y'all hang on for just a second here. The other bottle was able to defrost. There we go. New grinder, see in the back? Yep, that's the Grizzly 2x42. I'm going to be doing a review on it and talking about stuff that we're going to be doing it. Modify them. Gone for good. It's like whenever you see the pets and you drop the towel or the blanket and they go around the corner and the pets are like, they disappear. They're a witch. We got a uniform thickness on the spine. We'll forge out the edge just a little bit better. Make that uniform. And I think we can pretty much planish it and call this puppy done. So I actually got it from Grizzly. But yeah, got that from Grizzly. I'm going to be doing a few different modifications to it, like a better platen. I'm going to show y'all some of the stuff that I think makes sense on upgrading it and making it better. The only issue that people tend to run into with this is that motor might not work very well with the VFD that they supply. So single phase motor, people are burning these motors up. Supposedly this style of motor doesn't really like having a VFD on it. So that could be why they're burning up, but I've had a few people already do reviews and already burn up their motors. So something to think about. You'll all be able to see whether mine works out or not. I'll be very honest with y'all whenever I review that thing. thickness is looking good. Now all we need to do is go through, flatten it, get it nice and even. So on the next live stream that we're going to do, I'm going to go through and probably grind the profile so y'all can actually see what the profile looks like, and then we'll probably do the profile and the bevels on the next live stream. Debating on when exactly I want to do that, whether I want to do that tomorrow or probably Saturday. I might do it on Saturday. Go to bed until 8. Well, Duck Rabbit, I'll see you later. Have you thought about glass platen as a modification? Yeah, absolutely. What's up, cream of the crop? So already got a glass platen to put on one of these, so that's already here. Of course, this one was to be able to put on my 2x72. I'll probably put one on the 2x30 as well, or the 2x48, 42, whatever size that thing is. Okay, let's go ahead. Move this out. I'm going to switch to my little planishing hammer to do this. So our tang is nice and centered into our ricasso area. So now what I'm going to do is we're going to heat up the blade area again, and then we'll get it nice and flat. We just need to adjust that a little bit. But for right now, our tang is nice and centered up into our ricasso. Flows right up into the ricasso area and the heel of that blade. We just need to get our blade in line and straightened up. One of the things you can do is get it roughly in line and then put the spine of it into a vise. Come in here with tongs. You can actually pull that cutting edge over wherever you want to end up lining it up with just your tongs. If you need to, just put the spine of it in the vise while it's still warm. You can actually adjust that cutting edge. If you ever watch Jason Knight do some forging, you'll see him put his knives in the spine, or the spine of his knives into his post leg vise, and adjust it with his tongs, the cutting edge and bevels and stuff like that. That's where I actually got that from. So we don't need to get a whole bunch of heat in this, because all we're doing is just planishing and smoothing. Doesn't have to be glowing hot or anything like that. Remember, the more heat you put into it, the more it actually moves. You don't want it to move a lot. You want it to move just a little bit whenever you're planishing and smoothing. You get it super hot, you accidentally hit it hard once in the wrong area, you then have to smooth all that back out or grind it out later. And where we're going to be grabbing this, we're grabbing it here, not by the end of the tang, because I want to straighten it from the ricasso area. I don't want the tang to move. Okay. And there we go. Of course, the light's going to play with y'all just a little bit, because if you go like that, the light's kind of going to screw with you. But we're nice and in line there. Looking good, and then grab it from this other angle. There. Going all the way through there. And our distal, what I will end up doing is I will pull the end of this tang over just a hair, but I'll do that in the vise instead of hammering it. Looking good there. Taper down from our spine down to our cutting edge. That's our profile. Slip up a little grip on it. That right there is our profile. What I'm going to end up doing is I'll end up coming in here just a hair, about 1/8 of an inch inside here, clean that up. And then I'll end up bringing this front back just a hair, probably about like that. And that will look good. That works out. So now what I'm going to do is going to go on the forge. We're going to do an annealing cycle. So what's going to go in the forge, it's going to heat back up to about 1600 degrees, and then we're going to do that annealing phase and kind of basically reset the steel, let it cool inside the forge, and The next video that we do on this, we'll go ahead and we'll finish the profile on that, clean it up, probably go ahead, grind in the bevels, and then go from there. So that's the next video. Let's see here, what do y'all have going on here? What kind of grind are you going to do on the cleaver? Just made 3 mini DC cleavers. Hollow grind, that's pretty cool. I have to get back to work. Nice to catch up. Thank you, Bjorn. When are we going to hit a full shop tour? That is going to be happening here pretty soon-ish, because I'm already working on, of course, that shop. Might not look like it, but cleared it all out. I've got some workbenches done. I've got another couple of workbenches to do, a little bit of sheetrock, and then I'm of course cutting a hole in this wall so that I can put a doorway to go in there. I'll do a shop tour whenever we actually get that part done. And when it comes to the grind on this, it's basically going to be like this one that I have up here, where I'm going to grind it. I'm going to grind it up. Let me take all these off here. So I'm going to grind it up to here, about just under 2/3 of the way up. There'll still be forged texture up here, and then I'm going to have hand sanded bevels, something like that. It's going to be the grind that's on it, and then I'm going to put a satin finish on the bevels. When you're going to break down bottom Ameribraid 2x72, I don't know when I'm going to buy another 2x72. So of course, screwing with the 2x42 that's right here, the Grizzly, and then I've got my KMG here. So got that guy, but I think everybody who started knife making a few years ago has a KMG. That was before the whole Ameribraid was a thing. So we got that brought up to temp. Let that cool down. Now, eventually, I don't know, I might end up getting one, whether it be a Ameribraid or a Broadbeck or any of the other ones, or whether I'm just gonna build one of Brian House's 2x72s, the Revolutions. I haven't really decided 100% yet which direction I'm going to go. I like the thought of doing Brian House's just because I really like him as a person, and I want to support his business. So I might end up building one of those. This whole entire 12x12 is going to be a grinding room, so there's going to be a lot of stuff in there. I'm going to go ahead and have my disc grinder set up in there. I'm going to go ahead and have, of course, a few of the belt grinders and things like that, the new drill press, the porta band saw, all that stuff's going to be in there. And then I'm going to do an air filtration system that's pretty chill, pretty simple. I'm going to show y'all how I do it. It's based on one that Matt Rich has done. About that surface grinder attachment's actually really awesome. I've saw a few videos on it, and then of course, almost anything that Brian House makes is made with a lot of thought going into it. So he doesn't put anything out half-assed. If he makes a thing, it's because he was trying to fill a certain need in his shop, and he wanted to make it useful and good for fellow makers, and did not have making money off of it in mind. It was purely based on him making something that makes people's lives easier. Anytime something gets basically R&D'd in his shop, it gets a lot of thought through it, and he is awesome at that. You know, you got some people who make tools in order to make money. You got some people who make tools because they want to make everybody's life easier. That's Brian House. Want a 2x72? Do you suggest a brand? Ameribraid. If you're going to get one, if you want to buy a 2x72, go with an Ameribraid. If you want to build a 2x72, go with the Revolution by Brown House, the house made. Do you have a sense of comparing it to Ameribraid grinder, surface grinding attachment? It's going to be very similar to theirs because a lot of their R&D is roughly the same. So it's going to be pretty similar to theirs. Now, the cool thing about the Ameribraid one is being able to do the distal tapers and do all that stuff. The Ameribraid one is absolutely badass. I got to give them a ton of credit for that. Then, of course, TR Maker has one. Matt Rich, he's been using theirs. And that one, is pretty good too. But I like Brian's. I think it's pretty awesome. And I will eventually get one of them as well. And he really does invest himself into everything that he does. I mean, it's 110%. Absolutely 110%. Anything that he does. If he does a video, it is like, and I'll tell you this. So you're a YouTuber, David. If you see his filming setup, you would be like, I need that in my life. He's got like this rolling cart that has his camera built into it on a tripod. It's got like his diffused lights on it. It's got like a 32-inch flat screen TV. And whenever he's filming, he can look up and see, instead of like whenever you're looking at your camera or something like that, you're kind of looking at a little window. He's got like a 32-inch TV that's showing what he's doing on his thing. So all he has to do is just look up, and it's a big old TV. And then, of course, he's got lights that come down off the ceiling on motors to get the right lighting and all that stuff. There's none of this where you see like half my face is lit up and the other half of my face is dark. I mean, that guy, he's like, you know what? I'm going to make this table. And then he just like goes to his plasma table and he like cuts out a whole bunch of cool design things that like go on the welding table and things like that. He's something else, man. And he's super, super nice. I've got to hang out with him at blade shows and talk with him. And he is one of the most down to earth people. It's just super awesome. Like when it comes to supporting people, and I mean, the guys at Ameribraid and the guys at Broadbeck, they're super chill too. I mean, I can't say that they're not. They're super helpful. They talk to you. You could call them, ask them any question. They'll talk with you until you 100% feel like your question's been answered. Both Broadbeck and Ameribraid, super helpful people. It's the same thing with people at Pop's Knife Supply. You call them and you talk to actual people that work there, not some random help desk in India. I mean, it's awesome. And then when it comes to Brian, again, it's a person who's doing what we do, making stuff to make our lives easier. And I just really want to support him. And it's like the easiest way to get into a 2x72 if you just have a little bit of a welding ability. You can watch welding on YouTube. Get a welder from Harbor Freight and build that thing. Especially with the way, I mean, he's got like 6 videos out teaching you how to make it. You just follow the videos step by step and you're good. You know how to weld. You got this. I've got frames that I've made. So I'll show y'all something here. Turn this around. So this is my first 2x72 frame. This guy right here that I started making with little, it's got the holders. This is going to be for the top wheel, for the tracking wheel, and a tensioner and all that. This was my first one that I started making before I got my 2x72. There was a lot of welding on that thing, but again, that whole building is going to be my grinding room. I did get my TV up on the wall. That's a nice creature comfort. Play YouTube in here while I'm hand sanding. Matt Rich talked me into doing that whole TV thing. He was like, "You're gonna love it." There's Matt over here chiming in. I've had an Amazon delivery driver. I has to look at my grinder. He stopped and goes, "Oh, you don't know how to weld, do you?" Dang, he just straight called you out just like that. That's messed up. It's like, all right, you can leave my shop now, sir. You don't know how to weld, dude. I'm not the best welder. I can weld, and I got my little old welder right there, the old Harbor Freight guy. My little old auto darkening hood over here because I'm a chump, and I like auto darkening hoods. Um, but yeah, I, I went to school for it and all that stuff, so I at least know how to pick the right, wire. I know how to set the settings right for speed and all that stuff. But that's about it. I can make it work out pretty well. But for me, I just I use welding to make my life easier. Making this cart thing, stuff like this. I like doing things like that. Making a cart, being able to do this whole frame up here for the forge and all that stuff. I like making all of this stuff, getting all the material, cutting it, welding it, doing all that. Things that y'all are going to have in 2024. I'm actually going to be designing and building a go kart, an adult size go kart on the channel. So that's going to be one of the projects I'm going to have in 2024. I'm going to be building a go kart, and I'm going to be building a most likely a mini bike. I haven't decided on the mini bike just yet or what design I'm going to go with, but yeah, it's going to be a go kart that does like 80 miles an hour. It has headlights, turn signals. Because in my town, you can legally drive side by sides and golf carts as long as they have turn signals. Uh, you can drive those throughout the town. So we got people dropping kids off at school on golf carts that do like 30 miles an hour. So yeah, that's a thing that happens around here. I'm in one of those towns that's only got like it's got like 180,000 people. It's not a big town, but it's not a small town. And yeah, they passed that city ordinance to where we can drive things like that on the city roads. So it's pretty chill, and it's going to be. And yes, I'm gonna do most likely a two-stroke engine on it with one of those big ass mufflers. So it's gonna be pretty cool. But yeah, uh, oh, I'm super pumped from Blade, Texas. I'm so ready to do that. It is absolutely ridiculous. The only thing is, I wish I could have a booth at both the Blade shows, Blade Texas and Atlanta, but they're already sold out, so can't do that. Of course, I decided to go full-time knife making after that. Hopefully, I can actually kind of worm my way into somebody's table, uh, but I'm gonna see. I've got a few friends that have tables at each of them all the time. I might see if I could do use part of Jason Fry's table or something like that. I know Jason Fry, Kyle Daly, and Dennis, and a whole bunch of people that go there and have tables. So I might see if I can worm my way in and display some of my knives and do that stuff at Texas. So we'll see what's up. Uh, yeah, no, man, that's the best part about Blade. Being able to go there and get handle material and get pin material, get steel, get all that stuff, and not pay for shipping, get belts, all that's the thing that you're looking for when it comes to going to a show like that, is being able to buy all that stuff and not have to pay for shipping. I love that. I always pick up belts and steel and all kinds of different things whenever I go to the blade shows. That's awesome. Boy, it has been 2 hours and 30 minutes. I don't know if Dennis is going to have a booth at the Texas show. I know he has one at Atlanta when he goes and does that. I don't know if he's going to have a booth at the Texas one or not. He probably will, but I know he's going to have one at least the Atlanta. Um, we'll see what happens. He probably does have a booth. I'll have to message him after this and see what he's going to end up doing. My friends over at Black Knight Blades, they have the YouTube channel Black Knight Blades on here on YouTube. They're going to have their booth there, but they're from Texas, so you'll have that. Wish there were shows like that where I live. You know, that's one of the things that I'm so happy that they have these shows here, but I wish that they had more shows near me. Most of the shows that you have near me, and by near, I mean within like 4 hours of travel, most of the shows are gun shows. And when it comes to knife shows, typically those are like 6, 7 hours away from me. So, you know, it's not super close, but I will be getting myself into a rotation, which is the reason why I'm making so many knives right now. I want to be able to have about 50 in inventory at any given time. So, you know, you want to sell out of all of them, but if you sell them, you got to make more. Don't know my booth yet, but I'll give you free handle material if you swing by. Hell yeah. Sounds good to me. Man, guys, I think we're going to call it here. We got that thing made. I will let y'all know when I'm going to do the next live. It'll either be tomorrow night or it will be Saturday night. The reason why I say that is Thursday, my wife teaches a dance class, which means I don't get out here until like 7:30, 7:45. And on Friday, we're doing a podcast. So we are going to be doing Knives Templar podcast. So that'll be the next episode for it. So yeah. But yep. Let's go ahead and call it here, guys. Y'all have a good night too. Thank y'all for hanging out. Thank y'all for participating and having fun doing this. All right. I will talk to y'all later. Y'all have fun. See you, Matt.